The Buffalo Bills made a sneaky signing yesterday, signing one guy to the active roster and a flurry of moves, adding some familiar faces to the practice squad that will be contributing to this Buffalo Bills team in a meaningful way in the very near future. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bills Digest. Josh Schreiber here, and we've got a fun one today. The Bills, although they did not make anything happen at the trade deadline, they certainly did after it, making numerous moves to replace the injured Michael Hoyt and add some depth to an ailing defense. And we're going to talk about all of that right now, but before we get to that, we are nearing in on 1,500 subscribers. We've had over 400 in the last month, and we really appreciate all of your support. Excited to give you guys the very best Bills content, but we need to get to that 1,500 subscribers mark, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you like free Bills content, because we've got plenty of it for you here on a daily basis. So here were a number of the roster moves that the Bills made yesterday. They signed defensive tackle Phidarian Mathis from the practice squad to the active roster. He's going to be the highlight of this video, and I'm going to tell you all about why he is a sneaky signing to this team that is going to impact them in the very near future and may just change the way they play defense. But more on that in just a bit. After that, they also signed Kingsley, Jonathan, and Corey Couch to the practice squad. If those are familiar names to you, well, they should be. Kingsley Jonathan was an undrafted free agent by the Bills in 2023, and Corey Couch was an undrafted free agent by the Bills in 2024. Both of those guys have been with this team, know Sean McDermott's system, no surprise there, and that is why they were signed to the practice squad and why they will be very important pieces that I'm going to talk about in just a bit. They also released Hard Knocks heartthrob of the Bills Mafia, Jimmy Ciarlo. They released him from the practice squad. I would not be surprised to see him coming back if they face any injuries down the road. So those were the main moves that the Bills made yesterday, and the main guy that I wanted to highlight is Phidarian Mathis, pictured here, who started his career as a second-round pick from Alabama. He played for the Crimson Tide there and was a very, very solid one-tech defensive tackle type player that was a great run stuffer, but also got after the passer a little bit in college. He didn't quite live up to the hype in Washington, as it really just wasn't a great scheme fit for him. He was playing behind some really solid players in Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Tim Settle, who's also been a Buffalo Bill in his past, and really just didn't meet the criteria to get a second contract from the Commanders. They ended up moving on for him, and the Bills jumped all over that opportunity. Since Phidarian Mathis has been with the Bills, he has really had a big part in the defense, having a big moment, getting a tackle for loss, or really a stuff at the line of scrimmage in the win against Kansas City. He was also out there against the New England Patriots on a limited basis. But now with Ed Oliver injured and not knowing when Daquan Jones and TJ Sanders are coming back, and Michael Hoyt out for the year, we do not know who is going to have to step up for this Bills team, and Phidarian Mathis is going to be the temporary solution, and he should be a good one. Let's get another look at that profile, but the thing that strikes me most, 6'4", 312 pounds, this dude is a monster of a human being, and if you know me, you know I like my one-tech big D tackles. That's why Deon Walker was such an intriguing asset for me coming into the season, and I am just so thrilled to be able to have somebody that at the very least can spell Dion Walker when he is playing, 60, 70, 80% of snaps. We need Mathis to be able to come in and play a solid 30 to 40% of snaps. In big goal line situations, he needs to be there. And if we're playing a team in the Colts, come playoff time, who runs the ball very well, Phidarian Mathis is going to have to be just a space taker, I should say, and be a good run stuffer for this team. And when this was announced that Phidarian Mathis would be signed to the active roster as opposed to just to the practice squad, it caught my eye because Brandon Beane had been linked to Phidarian Mathis back to his days at Alabama. Back in 2022, 2021, the Buffalo Bills were considering taking an interior defensive lineman at some point in the draft. Phidarian Mathis was on a lot of people's radars for being a potential fit for a Buffalo Bills team. He ended up going in the second round, not falling to the Buffalo Bills. But as Air Raid Buffalo pointed out, he looked really good in Sunday's game against the Kansas City Chiefs on the All-22. He was signed to the active roster over Zion Logue, who the Bills have been pretty high on in the past. He was a round 3 mock draft dream of Air Raid Buffaloes and a lot of other Bills fans out there, and ended up getting taken earlier than that. So not really an opportunity for the Bills to sign him, but a lot of us here in Bills Mafia are happy that he found his way back to Buffalo in some way or another. But why was Phidarian Mathis so highly touted coming out of college? Well, here is the Bleacher Report scouting on him. And one thing I noticed that I think is a good reason why the Bills wanted him: more flexible than someone his size should be, and good lateral quickness. The Bills like to run a lot of stunts by their defensive tackles and just guys that are going to be really solid athletes and can run and chase down the passer. Now, Phidarian Mathis is by no means fast. He is a big 6'4", 300-plus pound guy. Obviously, he's not going to be fast, but for that size, they want a plus athlete, and that is what Phidarian Mathis is. He has that above-average lower body strength and can bull rush on passing downs. Had 9 sacks in his senior season with Alabama, has certainly shown flashes, and if we know the Buffalo Bills, they can get the most out of guys on defense that were really overlooked coming out of college. We've seen it with guys like Terrell Bernard. We're seeing it currently with Dion Walker, Ed Oliver, who fell in his draft. A number of other guys. Greg Rousseau, who was picked at the end of the first round, was a little bit of a surprise, and he has developed into his own. Christian Benford, I know he's struggling this year, but was a 7th-round draft pick, and he is seeing playing time. So the list really goes on of guys the Buffalo Bills on defense have kind of molded into something that fits their scheme, and Phidarian Mathis is a guy that I think is next on that list. Now, real quick before this video ends, I do want to tell you guys about the new practice squad guys the Bills signed. One of them, Kingsley Jonathan, who, born in Nigeria, was a local kid playing for Syracuse, not too far away from Buffalo in upstate New York. He is just a juice guy that I think they can help kind of replace Michael Hoyt in the aggregate by getting Javon Solomon and Kingsley Jonathan in there in some passing down situations and just try to wreak havoc. Another guy that was in there was Corey Couch. He was previously on the practice squad and a guy that actually came from Miami alongside Jamil Adey, who is a member of a crucial part of this Bills cornerback, defensive back room. He is the defensive backs coach, came from Miami, and it'll be good to have some familiarity with Adey and Corey Couch on this roster. Corey Couch can be a playmaker. We'll see how soon we see him on the active roster, but certainly excited to see this group, and that is why I think the Bills made some sneaky signings. Leave a comment down below. Is there anyone else you think the Bills should be trading for, looking to sign? You guys let me know. Thank you guys so much. This has been Bills Digest.